The mother of Kirk Franklin's adult son has stepped forward to defend him. To defend Kirk Franklin, that is. Her name is Shawn Ewing. She lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and she and Kirk Franklin were teenagers when their son Kerryon was born. She recently spoke out to defend Kirk Franklin and to put some more light onto exactly the dynamics between the father and son. Here's what she had to say.
Anyway, I was at an event and I got a call from Kirk. And so I went to take the call because, most of the time if it's, he's calling me that early because he knows I'm not a morning person, I know it's something going on. Mm-hmm. So I took the call and I told him, I said, hey, I'm at an event, but he gave me a little bit of the story. And I said, okay, I'll check it out as soon as I leave here. He's my beloved. He's my only child. I love him. And we have had challenges. Of course, when you're a teenage parent, you're not perfect, but we had challenges. But over the years, Kirk Franklin and I have been co-parents. And even though our son will be 33 in a couple of months, he's still our child. We vowed to work together with raising him, parenting him, and even though we've had some challenges, we still remain co-parents. A lot of times people haven't heard from me. I haven't made a lot of noise in the news, behind Kirk, for what or why, But we're here because some private information was leaked and Kirk kind of lost his cool. And we talk about cancel culture. And I was thinking, I can't leave Kirk out here by himself on this one. So I'm really not talking to y'all, anyone else. I'm really talking to my son. But you all will get a glimpse of this because of it was made public. Well, when an individual child or someone is, so to speak, rebelling against their parents, and you hold them to a point of accountability, sometimes you get pushback. And sometimes you get pushback because they say things are not fair, or sometimes you get pushback because they are in a rebellious state. And as you're working through that, you're trying to really find out, well, what is it? Kerryon felt at one point that his father was trying to kill him. And when I got wind of it and we talked about it, I said, Kerryon, I don't care who it is. If anybody's trying to hurt you, then we can go file a police report. We will deal with it. I'm not saying my son is not hurting from us being teenage parents. I'm not saying my son doesn't have a testimony. You were not abandoned. No one abdicated their responsibility towards you. You are loved. You are loved, Kerryon Franklin. And I'll look in the camera and say that you are loved. We support you then. We support you now. We support you tomorrow. But there's a way to deal with it. And all we've tried to do as parents is work through the issue, get our son to a point of being a productive citizen in society as well as having a good life. But things kind of didn't go that way. And that's okay because families go through things. But we don't get to use a part of an audio and not understand the true history of counseling, therapy, godly counsel. Holding Kerryon responsible, holding Kirk responsible, holding myself responsible, because I want to deal with what my son needs to deal with. And unfortunately, we're now having to do it here. It's not fair to cancel somebody out before you have formally filed a complaint, made a police report, and given the way for investigation. We are quick, especially for black men, to cancel them out. And if this happens to one black man, that means it could happen to my son in the future. That means it could happen to his father. That means it could happen to the next man of God, woman of God, the next parent, the next boy or girl. So it's a danger when we take that into consideration, where someone can just come forth and say something without a protocol in order to deal with it. And we have a protocol. You shouldn't just run to social media first to cancel somebody out or to expose someone. And then if you are going to do that, make sure you expose yourself first. Deal with yourself first. As I've matured, I tried to work with his father to continue to parent our son. And most people will say, y'all shouldn't even be talking anymore. We talk when we need to talk about our son because that's how much we love him. Have I made mistakes as a mother? Absolutely, I have. Have I kind of lost my cool before? Absolutely, I have. And I'm pretty sure if Carrion has some audio on Kirk, he may have some audio on me. So I'm here so we can go on and flush it out. And while we're flushing it out and while we're dealing with it publicly, then maybe we can also bless some other people along the way to say, hey, this is how we've done it. And sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes we lose our cool. We don't condone violence or threatening, but discipline is important. And sometimes when somebody say, I am going to beat you, that don't literally mean they're going to like beat them where they have bruises, cuts, broken bones, where they have those type of things. That means I'm going to discipline you because you're out of line. In dealing with my son, I would rather have his father talk to him, toil with him, tarry with him, and deal with him versus having some police officer who's trained, who doesn't love him, snuff him out because of his strong personality. And so this is for my son. First, his father second, and then everybody else last. Because at the end of the day, most of the people who will hear me speak don't care nothing about Carrion Franklin, don't care nothing about Shawn Ewing, don't care nothing about Kirk Franklin and his family. But I care about Carrion Franklin, and I care about Kirk Franklin because Carrion, that's his father. I text him and I said, basically, that I'm not understanding why he wants to push this out into the public, but he has his reasons, and I don't want to take that from him. But I can't not act as if just because Kirk said a few words that were not appropriate. But I've said some words sometimes that's not appropriate, and Carrion has said some words that have not been appropriate, but we still are trying to work through it. And I'm not going to let somebody just come in and say, oh, well, I'm going to cancel this or cancel. No, we're not going to do that.